Hello, everyone. I'm Nathaniel Bott here with Stephen Olschanski. We're the football beat writers for the State News. Here to talk about MSU and Northwestern, third Big Ten game of the season for the Spartans. It's homecoming weekend. And, a lot of things happened in this past week with, scrutiny to play calling and defensive line rush and a quarterback controversy, even though D'Antonio doesn't want it.
So wanted to avoid it at all costs. Now he's got to see it full force now.
Yeah. So, Steven, what do you see from the offense? I mean, obviously the quarterback situation is a big key, but what else needs to improve?
The receiving play hasn't been as good as it has been in the past few years, and Terrence Samuel and Mark Antonio both touched on that Donnie Corley and Monty Medeiros and the rest of the starting receivers really need to run their routes better, and they need to create space for themselves. And it was kind of what the difference was last year with Aaron Burbridge. He was to be able to create space. He ran his routes pretty well, and he made acrobatic catches, and that's what's kind of lacking this year. And I don't know if it's an inexperience thing or if they just need to get better in general, or if they'll have to wait till next year. But
I think you look at the past 2 years. Tony Lippett was there; he was kind of a go-to guy for Cook. Then he leaves, and then Aaron Burbridge kind of slides in. He becomes the go-to guy. This year is supposed to be R.J. Sheldon, Monty Medeiros, and O'Connor, who's been under center the whole year, hasn't really had a prime target that he can consistently go to. I mean, he's thrown towards Shelton and Corley probably more than the others, but that's something that's definitely lacking in their offensive attack. On the defensive side of the ball, it's been they're tackling pretty well once players get past the line of scrimmage, but they're not wrapping up the quarterback. 5 sacks through 5 games. That's very uncharacteristic of D'Antonio. And Mike Tressel touched on that. It's a whole mixture of things. Guys not winning their one-on-one battles. Guys not attacking the right gaps. And sometimes it's just wrapping up the quarterback. Evan Jones a couple of times has had the quarterback in his arms, and he just slips out of it. And that's going to be key here against Northwestern. Clayton Thorson, the sophomore, he's thrown for over 1,000 yards. He's ran for over 200 in a couple scores. He's kind of that dual threat, same kind of quarterback that Taysom Hill is at BYU, and they struggled with Taysom Hill, especially when he was running the football.
Especially late in the game, too.
Yeah, and Northwestern also has a little wrinkle in their offense of Austin Carr, who leads the Big Ten in yards and receptions and touchdown catches as a receiver. So Thorson has that kind of go-to guy that he can look to consistently, and the MSU secondary is going to have to shut him down. I think if the MSU secondary does shut Carr down, Northwestern's going to have a really hard time throwing the ball because they don't really have any other receivers who Thorson can reliably go to.
Right. Sure. Your predictions on who you think's starting under center for Michigan State?
I think the right call would be O'Connor, and to stick with O'Connor. I think that the coaching staff probably goes with Damian Terry. Just before, they head on the road next week against a Maryland team who has improved tremendously from last year. So I think they're going to try to see what Terry offers starting, but I do expect O'Connor to probably get mixed into the game and probably finish the game for MSU.
Your predictions for the final score?
I have MSU 28-14. I've picked MSU every time this year, and they've let me down 3 times, but it's homecoming weekend. Tom and Lupe Izzo are the homecoming grand marshals, and I just think that D'Antonio's 8-1 on homecoming. I think it's a big game for them. They know that they need to win this one to really keep their bowl eligibility hopes alive. So I have Sparty 28-14.
I thought the spread, that touchdown favorite for Michigan State, was a little too high. I'd still see them winning by about 4, go 24-20 this one.
Any MVP predictions or?
No, if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be who that quarterback is. I think whoever takes over, they're going to have to move the team down the field. So if it's any of the 3, I think they'll end up being the MVP. I don't think it's going to be any of the skill guys.
See, I look at the defensive side of the ball. I think Monte Nicholson, he's really had a great 2 games. He's been the best secondary player for MSU, kind of far and away. Over 10 tackles each game, a couple tackles for loss here and there. And I think he's going to have a big day. I think he finally gets that interception that he's been looking for. He's had a couple that go through his hands, and so I expect another big day out of him. So for the State News, make sure you follow us on Twitter at @thesnooze_sports and stay at thestatenews.com for more coverage for during and after the game. Once again, I'm Nathaniel Bott. He's Stephen Olschanski. Thanks for tuning in.